So as part of today's session, we will take up few topics from the very basics of SQL Server, or the very basics of what is data and what are the different types of data, how is data collected, and the importance of data. And then we will also see how is the data stored, and then I'll give you a brief introduction about the database. And then if we have time, we'll also go through the types of databases which we have in the market, and then the DBMS and RDBMS. So to start with, what is data? Data is nothing but information. The information that we collect from various sources is called data. Let's take an example here. So let's say if a person wants to buy a car, so what does he do? He needs some answers to a few of his questions, like what type of car he want to buy, or what brand he want to buy, or what economy or what mileage does the car should give, what is his budget, will the price of the car falls in under his budget or not. So he has some set of questions before buying a car. So where do he get all these answers from? He may be talking to his friends or colleagues, or he may be Googling it. Okay, so once he does all this process, once he has all these answers, he use these answers or information from his friends. He uses that information to take a decision if he wants to buy a car, or if he wants to quit buying a car, if he wants to postpone, or if he can get some loan, or all that kind of things. Okay, so the information that he gathered from all these sources, from his friends, or it may be from his colleagues, or from Google, or from online. So all this information collected is called data. So data is nothing but it's just the information that we collect from various sources to make a decision, or that data will help you to make a decision. So in this example, the information that he collected from these various sources, it will help him to make a decision if he wants to buy a car, and then which car he wants to buy. Okay, so that is called data. That's a very simple example. But then the same kind of scenarios exist in a corporate level also. It may be a small company or a big company, any company it is. All the companies, all the corporate organizations needs data to make decisions for the future of the company, or to analyze how the company is performing in the current year, or how did the company perform in last year, or how the company will be performing in near future. Okay, so the data analysts, that means whoever is working as data analyst in the company, they will be analyzing the data that they have, and then they will take the decisions, or they will create a report out of this data, and then they will show these reports to the higher management, let's say CEO or someone from the company who takes decisions. So they will project this data in the form of reports to the higher management, and then higher management will be looking at the data, and then they will try to take decisions, or they will try to understand how their business is doing, how the business is going on. All right, so that is the data. Let's take another example. Let's say we have an email application. It may be a Gmail or a Yahoo or any other email application. So when a user wants to sign up for an email account, so he provides some information and that information may be something like his first name, his last name, date of birth, address, and the email ID he wants, and then the password. So what happens once he is trying to sign up, all this information that he provided, that information will be sent to a server where this email application is hosted. Okay. So all this information will be sent to the server. And then this information will be sent back to a text file, let's say text file or any secure place where this information will be stored. For now, let's consider that as a text file. So all the information that the user provides, this information will be saved in this text file. Why do we need to save it? Because when the user wants to sign in to that account, when he provides his email ID and password, so there needs to be some methodology to verify that user ID and password, right? So for that reason, whenever you are trying to create an account, that information will be saved in some secure place because it's needed. It needs to be used, that information. So all this information here, which is being passed from the email application to the server to the text file, that is called data. Okay. So now once the account has been created by the user, when he comes back and when he wants to sign into that account, he will be providing his user ID and password. Okay. So what happens once he provides his user ID and password? That information will again be sent back to the server and to the text file, and then it will verify if that email ID exists in that particular text file. Okay, the email ID exists. What happens if the email ID exists? It will verify if the password provided is correct or not. So once the password is verified and it's correct, it will send back a message to the email application saying that email ID and password are correct, and the user will be able to log into that particular account. So here in our example, this data, whichever we stored in a text file, helped us to make a decision. What is that decision? That decision is whether to validate or whether to give access to that particular user or not. Right? So the data was very important, and then we stored it, and then we used that data back to make a decision for that email application. Okay, so that's one particular example. Let's consider another example. Let's say there is a company called ABC, and then that company manufactures laptops, and it started its business in 2013, and then it does business in 2 states. That means it sells its laptops only in 2 states. Let's say in Texas and Illinois. Okay, so it started manufacturing products or laptops in 2013, and then it started its business selling in Texas and Illinois. So at the end of the year 2013, let's say in December, CEO of the company wants to make a decision on the future of the company. That means he wants to make a decision to he wants to know how many laptops he want to manufacture for next year. Okay, so for that he will talk to his managers in the company, and then he will ask them to give some numbers or some data so that he can make a decision. So he will be asking like, okay, how many laptops got sold in year 2013 in Texas and Illinois. So the manager provides the information saying 10,000 laptops got sold in Texas and 20,000 laptops got sold in Illinois. So by looking at this information, the CEO of the company, he will come to know, okay, that these are my numbers for 2013, and then based upon the feedbacks and other sources, he will come to know that his business is doing good, and that means he doesn't have any issues with the business or the laptops, so it was performing good. Okay, so taking all that into consideration, he will come to a conclusion that okay, for 2014 he will expect his business to grow, and then he will try to manufacture 15,000 laptops for Texas and 25,000 for Illinois. Okay, so how did he come up with these numbers, 15,000 and 25,000? By looking at the old data. Old data here is the sold data. That means the sold laptops, the number of laptops which got sold in the past year. That means or maybe the current year, 2013. From January to November, he looks at the data, and then looking at the data, he will take a decision for the future. So this past data, which already happened, that means the laptops already got sold. So that data is called historical data. That means the data which got it from our history or from the past. Okay, so all that past data is called historical data. So using that historical data, he came up with new numbers for the future. So here in this example, the CEO took the help of the historical data, and then he made a decision for the future. So this looks as a very simple example, but then in real world, in all the organizations, every company, take it as Walmart or Dell, or it may be any small company or banking sector or insurance company, any company, they need to store the data, and that data will help them to make decisions for the future. So that is the importance of the data. If you don't have any data, in this example, company ABC CEO, if he did not have any numbers for the sold laptops, he cannot. It will be difficult for him to come up with the numbers for the future. Okay, so if he did not have any reference, like 10,000 and 20,000 laptops for the last year, if he did not have any reference, he would have come up with wrong numbers. He would have guessed like, okay, 30,000, and then after next year, all his laptops may have not been sold. Okay, so in order to make a decision, you need some kind of reference. Without reference, you cannot do anything. So that reference is called data. So that data will help you to make decisions for the company. Okay. Okay, so let's get back to the SQL Server, our topics. So now we know what is data. So what are the different types of data that we have? Or let's say we have data, but what it may be consisting of? It may be consisting of characters, like in our example, we were trying to store the first name, the last name. So those are characters or words or alphabets. And then when we were trying to store the date of birth, it's integers. So the data may be of integer type, or it may be of photographs or images. In Facebook, we will be trying to upload our image files. So that image file will be stored in some particular place. So that's also kind of data. And then we'll also see various videos getting uploaded or various audio files getting uploaded on Facebook. So all that is called data. So data is just doesn't mean some characters or numbers. It may be of any type or any format. Let's take an example of a Google Maps. It has street views, right? So it has all the coordinates and locations. So all that coordinates and locations is called spatial data. That means every location is identified by the spatial data called latitude, longitudes, all that details. So that is called spatial data. And then you may have some big documents. Let's say there's a database, and then you want to store all your resumes. So resume is like, it may consist of 4 or 5 pages. So all this is called data. Okay, so the data may be of any type. Now